Imagine a night sky, not so long ago. A sky we thought we knew. Then, a new sound began to whisper down to Earth. A silent hum that changed everything. October 4th, 1957. A date etched into history. On that day, humanity's gaze wasn't just upward, but outward. Because something new was up there. Something man-made. Something that orbited our world, sending back a simple, yet profound message. To understand that sound, we need to go back a little further. To a world gripped by the Cold War. Two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, locked in a tense ideological struggle. It wasn't just about politics or economics. It was about who had the better system, who held the future. This rivalry fueled an incredible scientific race. Both nations, driven by the desire for technological superiority, poured resources into rocket science. The Germans, with their V-2 rockets during World War II, had shown what was possible. Now, the stakes were far higher. Brilliant minds on both sides pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. In the Soviet Union, a chief designer, shrouded in secrecy, quietly led a team with an audacious goal. Across the ocean, in America, another brilliant mind, a former German scientist, was also dreaming of space. On the vast, desolate steppes of Kazakhstan, the Soviets were building something extraordinary. A launch pad to the stars. A place where dreams of orbit were about to take flight. Secrecy was paramount. The world barely knew what was happening there. And then there it was. Not a grand spaceship, but a polished aluminum sphere about the size of a beach ball, weighing just 184 pounds. 4 long, thin antennas protruded from its surface. Its name, Sputnik, Traveler. On that evening of October 4th, 1957, the R-7 rocket, a mighty intercontinental ballistic missile, stood poised for a different mission. It wasn't carrying a warhead, it was carrying hope and a challenge. With a thunderous roar, it defied gravity. Rising into the twilight sky, a man-made star began its journey. The world watched, or rather, listened. For 21 days, Sputnik circled the Earth every 96 minutes. And with each pass, its simple radio signal, that insistent beep beep beep, became a global phenomenon. Anyone with a shortwave radio could hear it. In America, the news landed like a bombshell. Sputnik wasn't just a scientific achievement, it was a psychological blow. A direct challenge to American technological supremacy. The perceived missile gap became a national obsession. President Eisenhower downplayed the threat, but the public reaction was one of shock and anxiety. If the Soviets could put a satellite into orbit, what else could they do? Could they launch missiles across continents? The Sputnik crisis ignited a fierce determination in the United States. Education became a priority, especially in science and engineering. The National Defense Education Act was passed, pouring money into schools. A generation was inspired to look to the stars, not just with wonder, but with a mission. But the path wasn't easy. America's early attempts to launch its own satellite were met with spectacular failures. Kaputnik and Flopnik became mocking terms. The pressure mounted. Finally, on January 31, 1958, America launched its first satellite, Explorer 1. It was smaller than Sputnik, but it carried scientific instruments that made a crucial discovery, the Van Allen radiation belts. A victory, but one hard one. Out of this intense rivalry, a new agency was born, NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Its mission, to lead America's space efforts, not just for defense, but for scientific exploration and human endeavor. The space race accelerated. From satellites, it moved to putting living beings into space, then humans. Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. Alan Shepard, the first American. Each milestone, a new chapter in a thrilling, dangerous story. And then the ultimate challenge. President John F. Kennedy, in 1961, declared that America would land a man on the moon and return him safely to the Earth before the decade was out. An impossible dream, many thought. This audacious goal galvanized a nation. Thousands of scientists, engineers, and workers dedicated their lives to Project Apollo. The Saturn V rocket, the most powerful machine ever built, began to take shape. Yet, the costs were immense, both in resources and human lives. The Apollo 1 fire, which claimed the lives of 3 astronauts, served as a grim reminder of the dangers inherent in pushing boundaries. But humanity pressed on. Apollo 8, Christmas 1968, brought us the iconic Earthrise photo showing our fragile blue planet suspended in the blackness. A powerful image that shifted global perspective. And finally, July 20th, 1969. Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong's boot on the lunar surface. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. The silent hum of Sputnik, just 12 years earlier, had led to this. Billions watched, captivated. From bustling cities to quiet villages, in places like Davos City, people gathered around their televisions, witnessing history unfold. It was a shared human moment, transcending borders and ideologies. The space race officially ended with the moon landing, but its legacy continued. It spurred innovations that we use every day, from satellite communication to computer technology. It showed us what was possible when humanity dared to dream. Today, the race continues, albeit in different forms. Private companies are joining the endeavor. We're looking to Mars, back to the moon, and beyond. The drive to explore, to understand, remains as strong as ever. That silent hum of Sputnik, a simple sound from a small satellite, was more than just a signal. It was a wake-up call, a spark that ignited an era of unprecedented human achievement. It forced us to look beyond our horizons, to see our planet as a tiny blue marble, and to realize that our destiny might just be among the stars. And as we continue to reach for the heavens, we carry with us the echo of that first, brave journey. The silent hum that dared us to look up and to dream.